One of the most talented players the US men's national team currently has seems to never get his club career going. Gio Reyna's Dortmund career was actually very promising at first, making his debut at age 17 and actually performing well during seasons 2, 3, and 4, despite dealing with injuries. But now Gio Reyna is 22 years old and things haven't gone well in Dortmund. With a mix of injuries, a stupid loan to Nottingham Forest, and coaches that did not rate him. One thing is for sure, Reyna needs a new home. But not just any home, the right home. And which club is that? Hello. If you are new here, I'm Filippo and welcome to Tactical Manager TV. And today we're going to play a game that I like to call it Tinder. We're going to try to find Gio Reyna the perfect match. A beautiful, sexy club for Gio Reyna. Did I just sexualize a soccer club? Yes I did. And I'm proud of it. I'm not ashamed of it. And by transfer, I mean this winter. In this video, we're gonna go through 3 clubs that I believe will be the perfect fit for Gio Reyna for a winter move. Now, a summer move is more likely to happen than a winter one, but the earlier he leaves, the better it is. As long as it's the right club and, not like the one last season where he went to Nottingham Forest on a loan in January, which was bad. It was incredibly bad. All right, now make sure to follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is Tactical Manager TV, TikTok, and X, right? I'm gonna be putting everything in the description of this video. We're ramping up content in those platforms, so make sure to follow us. And there's also multiple giveaways coming on Instagram, so follow us there. Now, before we start, as always, I have to beg you for a like. So if you haven't already, do it right now. It's free and it takes like a second, not even. You can just do it real quick. Just make sure to wash your hands before you do it, or don't. I don't care. It's not my phone or tablet. And that's all. Let me know in the comment section down below, where do you want Gio Reyna to go? And with that said, roll the intro and start the episode. Okay, before we start, I don't really have to dive into why Gio Reyna needs a move, right? We've talked about this multiple times, and if you've been following the US men's national team, you know by now. Injuries, inconsistent playing time, weird coaches, and blah, blah, blah. You know the deal. His peak market value when Gio Reyna was in his prime, which, he hasn't really reached his prime, but the peak of his market value was 42 million euros. Right now, he's valued at 12 million euros. So whoever signs him, it might be a bargain. It might be worth the risk. And honestly, Borussia Dortmund might even accept less. So the risk reward is very much worth it for whoever signs him. Now look, Landon Donovan, one of the best US men's national team players of all time and one of the worst pundits this country has ever seen, had a take on Gio Reyna last week during his podcast with Tim Howard. A podcast that no one asked for, no one wanted it, but we got it anyway. And let me go through his take real quick. And I'm going to read the exact quote because I don't want to take him out of context. And this is what Landon Donovan had to say. In a case like Gio, great. You signed with Borussia Dortmund. Great. You went on a loan to Forest. You don't play soccer. I used to hate this. You are a soccer player. You're not a soccer practicer. You're not a soccer contracted person. You're a soccer player. Do you want to play soccer or not? So far, so good, right? Gio Reyna is a soccer player. He should be getting more minutes. So far, so good. But then Donovan also said, now I know injuries were a factor with Gio Reyna, but I just get sick of this bullshit. People crap on MLS all the time, and I get it. Guess what? Gio Reyna in MLS would have played 300 games by now. Hopefully, would have been fit, and he is 20. Maybe then he would have gone somewhere in Europe and played. It's just frustrating because a guy with that talent, a lot of people in camp say he's the most talented guy. So look, first and foremost, the second part that I read was pretty dumb, pretty stupid, because Gio Reyna was actually playing for Dortmund early on, right? It's not like when he was 17, 18, 19, 20, he wasn't playing. So whether he was in MLS or in the Bundesliga, he was playing. There were a series of factors, with Landon kind of mentions it, the injuries that played a role on why Gio's not playing right now. But early on, he was playing. So first and foremost, it's a stupid take. But it gets worse. Let me dive into details. What makes Landon Donovan think that Gio Reyna would have not gotten injured in MLS? Most of Gio's injuries were non-contact injuries. In MLS, you play on turf and you travel longer distances. What evidence do we have that the injuries would be any lower? And if it wasn't for hamstring injuries, he would have played a lot in the Bundesliga, as I said already. Keep in mind that Aaron Long and Miles Robinson literally tore their Achilles in MLS over the past few seasons. I know, shocker, right? Players in MLS also get injured, Landon. I also don't understand why Landon has this obsession with sending or for our most talented players. Like, he wanted Pulisic to go to the Galaxy instead of Milan, and now the next one is Gio Reyna. He sees an American struggling in Europe, he gets a boner, and he wants them to go to MLS. It seems like that's what he likes. I'm just saying, right? Just because it worked for Landon, and he was an incredible player, and he was an MLS lifer, even though he had some stints in Europe, he was technically an MLS lifer, and it worked for him. It doesn't mean it would work for most players. Landon Donovan is an anomaly, but it doesn't seem like he sees that. Oh, and Alexi Lalas also said that Gio Reyna should go to the LA Galaxy this past week, and I don't take his takes too seriously. I think Alexi just needs attention, and he got a bit jealous that Landon Donovan was, sucking all the attention to himself. So, Lalas decided to step in with his Gio take. I don't even know if he actually believes it. But there is one thing that I agreed with Landon. Gio Reyna has to play. He's a soccer player. He needs to get minutes and continue to develop. So why don't we talk about the 3 clubs that he should actually go to, and it shouldn't be MLS. Cut the crap. Gio Reyna, it's too early for him to go to MLS. He shouldn't go to MLS right now. So let's talk about the 3 clubs in Europe that he should go to if he wants to get his career back on track. Okay, but before I give you the 3 clubs, here are a few things that you must know. I focused mainly on 3 leagues that fit Gio Reyna's style of play. 2 of them being top 5 leagues, and the other being a bit of a downgrade from the Bundesliga. The 3 leagues are the Eredivisie in Netherlands, which is a bit of a downgrade from the Bundesliga, and then the Italian Serie A and La Liga, which is the Spanish league. I think the English Premier League is a bit too hectic and fast-paced for Gio Reyna, and we saw that a little bit at Nottingham Forest. And the Bundesliga is fine, but it's more of a transition counter-attacking league. I think Gio would do better in the 3 leagues that I mentioned. His contract also expires in June of 2026, so you would think that he would leave Dortmund no later than the summer of 2025, so they don't lose him for free. However, the sooner the better, so he should seek a move this winter. And then also Gio Reyna has a Portuguese passport, so he would not count as a non-European Union player in La Liga and the Serie A. That facilitates a transfer. Last but not least, none of the moves that I'm about to mention are guaranteed success. They're good in theory, but then Gio Reyna has to perform. With that said, let's go to club number 1. And the first club that I want Gio Reyna to head to is PSV, which they are currently the best team in the Netherlands by a lot. And I know the Eredivisie itself is a downgrade from the Bundesliga, but PSV these days is probably about the same level as Borussia Dortmund. It's also a club where Ernie Stewart is in charge of transfers, and that could facilitate the move. On top of that, we already have 4 Americans there: Ricardo Pepi, Serginho Dest, Malik Tillman, and Richie Ledesma. And PSV has been quite good for all 4 of them. Now, Tillman has been there for over a season, and he has been simply incredible for PSV, one of their best players. So thinking Gio would arrive and simply bench Tillman this season, it's not very likely. But hear me out. Malik Tillman will probably leave PSV during the summer for a buttload of money, for millions and millions of dollars. Gio Reyna would be the perfect replacement, and if healthy and in form, Reyna could even be an upgrade. And look, Gio Reyna's market value right now is roughly 12 million euros, which is exactly what PSV paid for Malik Tillman. The ideal situation here is to get Gio Reyna on a loan in January with an obligation to buy during the summer of, let's say, 8 to 12 million euros, which they can easily afford once they sell Malik Tillman. Plus, Borussia Dortmund would keep a percentage of a future fee. I think Dortmund might accept an offer like that. Getting Gio on a loan now would allow him to adjust to the club, the league, during the next 6 months. And then by the time we reach next season, he'll be good to go to replace Malik Tillman, be a locked-in starter for them. Plus, Gio is young enough that PSV can sell him for a profit in a season or 2. Personally, to me, this is the perfect move, the best move. Gio Reyna heads to PSV, adapts, balls out for 2 seasons, and then heads back to a top 5 league healthy, in form, and more mature as a 25-year-old. From a league standpoint, I understand it's a downgrade, but from a club perspective, it really isn't. And to me, this is the perfect move. Let's put it this way. The human body has 206 bones. If Gio Reyna gets this move, I'll have 207. Okay, club number 2 is a team that plays in the Serie A. And out of all 3 options that I'm going to talk about in this video, this is my least favorite. Not because it's a bad option, it's still a very good option, much better than MLS, it's not even debatable, and it's much better than staying with Dortmund. It's just my least favorite out of the 3 that I'm going to mention. So for the Serie A, I was between Fiorentina, Milan, and Genoa. And out of those 3, I had to choose Fiorentina. Genoa would need a 10, a playmaker, but they're more of a relegation battle team right now, so to me that's a no-no. Now Milan is an interesting one, but after doing more research on them and actually watching them every single week over the past 18 months, I have come to the conclusion that there are too many red flags. Milan is like that beautiful girl, but you're seeing way too many red flags, so you just can't go for it. Just wouldn't work. Never ignore the red flags. Right now, it seems like Pulisic is their 10, their central attacking midfielder. I don't want Gio Reyna competing with Pulisic. Even if they move Pulisic to the right wing, I can't really see Gio Reyna playing at the 10 and having the maturity to deal with Rafael Leão and Theo Hernandez and their constant moronic decision making. Pulisic, on the other hand, can. Gio Reyna, I just can't see it working. Plus, Milan has a pretty bad track record lately with 10s. Lucas Paquetá, Charles de Ketelaere, all these guys, it didn't really work out at Milan, and then they went elsewhere, and they did fairly well. Plus a few other minor red flags that I'm not really gonna dive into. So for the Serie A, my choice, that I think is the best choice right now, is Fiorentina. Let me explain to you why. First and foremost, they do like playing a 4-2-3-1 under their current manager, which means there's a spot at the 10 for Gio Reyna to fight for. Also, I could be wrong, but it doesn't seem like they really have a pure playmaking 10. Kopani could play there as a 10, but they've been using him as a winger. They also signed Gudmundsson from Genoa on a loan with a mandatory fee to buy during the summer. But here's the thing with him. He's been injured a lot this season, and also as far as I know, he's more of a second striker or a shadow striker. He's not really a 10. He's a goal-scoring threat and not really a playmaker. They also have Lucas Beltran playing as a 10. He's been playing as a 10 for most of the past few games based on what I've researched. And I know this player. He's more of a striker. He's not a 10, even though they're utilizing him as a 10. So what's my point? Well, they could use a playmaking 10 for their 4-2-3-1. And they, could maybe get Gio Reyna on a loan with a mandatory fee for the summer. And they have the money to do so. At the time of this recording, Fiorentina is in 4th place in the Serie A, fighting for a spot in the Champions League. Now, I don't think they will win the Scudetto, but they're very close to the top of the table as well. They also have 28 goals scored on a 21 XG, expected goals, which means they are overperforming their XG. The finishing has been great, tremendous, but they need to create more chances, and that's where Gio Reyna can come in. They're in 7th place in the league when it comes to expected goals, but they're 4th when it comes to actual goals scored per game. Look, this ain't the perfect move. Like I said, it ain't my favorite, but it could work. Club number 3 is a team that plays in La Liga. And you know what? The best choice in La Liga is a team that I haven't seen many mention, and that is Mallorca. And before you get pissed and say, Gio can do better than Mallorca, we saw Matthew Hoppe there, how did that go? Hear me out. It actually makes total sense. I've done countless hours of research on multiple La Liga teams for this video. I'm telling you, Mallorca is probably the best option for Gio Reyna right now. So currently, at the time of this recording, they're in 8th place in La Liga, so that's not bad. And this is an ideal league for Gio Reyna and his style of play. And I'm also going to say that at the time of this recording, they're only 2 points away from the Europa League. My point is, as much as many people might have forgotten, Mallorca is not shit right now. They're not a bad team right now. Their coach seems to have 2 go-to formations, a 4-3-3 and a 4-2-3-1. Either one of them works for Gio Reyna, but the 4-2-3-1 would be better. Right now, their attacking mid options aren't very good. They all kind of suck actually. And if he is healthy, Gio Reyna would arrive and this would be his position to lose, which is perfect. We're also talking about a team that their main issue is to score goals and create chances. They only have 16 goals scored in 17 games in La Liga this season, despite being in 8th place when it comes to points, which is not bad. They are literally 16th place when it comes to goals scored per game. So think about this for a second. This team is in 8th place, only 2 points away from an Europa League spot. So they're clearly not bad. They're getting results, they're getting the job done. But these mother lickers can't score goals. They're scoring less than a goal per game. They're not creating chances and they're not scoring. What do they need? Well, probably a striker. Actually, we're going to talk about that in a second. But they definitely need to create more goal scoring opportunities. And that's where Gio Reyna would come in. Having a good playmaker and a set piece taker like Gio Reyna can work wonders for them on offense. They're more or less scoring the same amount of goals as their expected goals, which means finishing is not the issue. They just don't create enough chances. Hear me out once again. I'm going to repeat this. Finishing is not the issue. They're more or less performing as their expected goals. They also have American ownership, which can facilitate a transfer. Along with the fact that Gio Reyna's agent has a player playing for Mallorca. The central defensive midfielder Samu Costa has the same agent as Giovanni Reyna. The only issue with this transfer could be money. Their most expensive transfer of all time was Muriqi when he came from Lazio for $8 million. So Dortmund would have to sell on a discount and maybe hold a future percentage of a fee. I don't think Mallorca would even pay $8 million for Reyna unless the American ownership came in and, kind of helped out. Salary could also be an issue, but once again, the American ownership might have to step in and save the day. Maybe a loan with an option to buy. I guess the money part in this sense could work. But outside of that, this transfer makes too much sense. And if Gio Reyna goes to Mallorca and plays well in La Liga for 1 or 2 seasons, he can easily move to a bigger club. And I know some people will hate this pick that I had in this video, I think, since Mallorca is not as hyped as some of the clubs we mentioned or, clubs that people want Gio Reyna to go to, but it makes sense. And honestly, Gio Reyna probably needs to step back, or at least get 1 step back, before he can take 2 forward. Okay, everyone, before you go, don't forget to drop a like, comment down below what you think, where should Gio Reyna go, but wait. Before we leave, there are a few shout-outs that I want to give. So one of them is Real Sociedad. I think Gio would need to get back in form and his confidence back up to actually play for that club. They're really good and they have some really good players in positions that he would play. I wouldn't hate the move, I'm just not so sure on it. The other shout-out is the Portuguese League Giants. I haven't done really much research there and I don't really watch the Portuguese League, but maybe Sporting, Porto, Benfica, I don't know, that might be something to dive into. I haven't done my research there, so I have no comments, but these are interesting clubs to look into. But that's all for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. All I want to say is that I don't want Gio Reyna going to MLS. Don't listen to Alexi Lalas. Don't listen to Landon Donovan in that sense. Donovan was a great player, but he's a terrible pundit. And I want to thank you all very much for watching, and have a great day.